Good evening, dreamers, romantics, and the ever-watchful guardians of the Mr. Magazine community. You have arrived once again at the threshold of the extraordinary, where we do not merely report on the reality of the red carpet, but also explore the vast, shimmering landscapes of the collective imagination. In a world often bound by the rigid constraints of the mundane, there are moments when the line between what is real and what is desired becomes beautifully blurred. We are here to document those moments. Before we embark on tonight's unique journey, a narrative that spans the canals of Venice to the hills of Rome, and finally to the mystic shores of Istanbul, I must ask you to perform the sacred rituals that sustain this channel. Verify that you are subscribed. Ensure the notification bell is ringing, alerting you to every new chapter. And, for those who wish to be the true patrons of this storytelling art, please click the join button. Your support is the ink with which we write these legends. Tonight, we turn our gaze to a duo that has transcended the screen to become a feeling, a hope, and for many, a definition of love itself, Barış Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel. We are diving into a story that has captured the hearts of fans across the globe, a story of a fictional trip that feels more real than reality itself. It is a chronicle of a romantic escape to Italy, a journey woven from the deepest desires of the Barış fandom. It is a tale of gondolas, sunsets, and whispers in the dark. But is it merely fiction, or is it a prophecy of what could be? If you are ready to get lost in the streets of Rome with the couple the world wants to see together, press the like button now. Let the dream begin. The narrative begins in the city of water and masks, Venice. According to the vivid chronicles that have set social media ablaze, Yağmur Yüksel and Barış Baktaş were spotted at commencing their fictional odyssey on the Grand Canal. Imagine the scene, the gentle lapping of water against the ancient hull of a gondola, the melody of a distant accordion, and two figures who seem to have stepped out of a Renaissance painting. Barış, ever the protector, is described in this narrative as shielding Yağmur's hair from the Adriatic breeze. A gesture so small, yet so loaded with intimacy that it prompted a digital chorus of how romantic is this. It is these micro moments, the brushing of a hand, the shielding from the wind, that fans latch on to, for they speak of a care that goes beyond the script. From the floating city, the dream shifts to the eternal city, Rome. The capital of history became the backdrop for their modern fairy tale. They were described stopping in front of the Colosseum, that great amphitheater of stone, taking photos not just of the monument, but of each other. But it was not the ruins that captivated the fictional onlookers, it was the couple's immersion in one another. They wandered for hours, seemingly lost in the labyrinthine cobblestone streets, oblivious to the world around them. In a cafe tucked away in a Roman piazza, their exchanged smiles were said to be brighter than the Italian sun. The atmosphere enveloped them like a scene from a Fellini movie, warm, chaotic, and impossibly romantic. As the sun began to dip below the seven hills, painting the sky in hues of burnt orange and violet, the couple sat on a hill overlooking the city. Here, amidst the scent of pine and ancient stone, they engaged in a long, hushed conversation. Yağmur's laughter, mingling with the sounds of the Roman evening, was described by witnesses as the universal sound of love. As night fell over Rome, the narrative takes us to the Bohemian district of Trastevere. Here, the streetlights cast a yellowish, nostalgic glow on the ivy-covered buildings. Barış and Yağmur were described walking through these streets, leaning against each other, a physical manifestation of their emotional support. They stopped occasionally, not to look at the map, but to look at each other, sharing smiles that carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. These romantic moments are considered so special that they defy even the best screenwriting. The fiction continues to a small square on the banks of the Tiber River. Here, the couple indulged in the quintessential Italian treat, gelato. The playfulness of their dynamic came alive as Barış jokingly attempted to steal a bite of Yağmur's gelato, resulting in a burst of laughter that echoed off the river walls. It was a scene of domestic bliss. Two superstars acting like any ordinary couple in love, prompting locals to whisper, "They are so natural and happy, you forget they are famous." But the journey did not end in Rome. Rumors of their travels extended north to Florence, the cradle of the Renaissance. Here, the narrative shifts from casual romance to high-fashion elegance. Making a surprise appearance at a fictional fashion gala, the couple dazzled. Boris' admiring gaze as Yağmur moved in her elegant gown was said to radiate a powerful energy, captured in photographs that, though imaginary, fans can see clearly in their minds. The next morning, the scene shifts to the rolling hills of Tuscany. Amidst the sprawling vineyards, under the golden Tuscan sun, Boris took on the role of the artist. With a camera around his neck, he photographed Yağmur, transforming her into a muse. Passing tourists in this narrative couldn't help but comment that the scene was too romantic to be real. And perhaps, that is the point. It is a hyperreality, a perfection that exists to feed the soul of the fandom. The transition from the dreamscape of Italy to the reality of Istanbul was marked by intrigue. According to the fictional observers, the magic did not dissipate upon landing. As they disembarked the plane, walking side by side, their body language screamed of a bond that had been deepened by their travels. Images described in the press showed Yağmur leaning into Boris, with his hand lightly touching her shoulder, a gesture of grounding, of saying, "I am still here." It was upon their return that the digital detective work reached a fever pitch. A specific detail shared by fans generated considerable debate, a photo posted by Yağmur. In this image, next to her, was an empty chair. But to the eyes of the devoted, it was not empty. It held an imaginary silhouette of Boris. Comments flooded in, "They are together, the shadow belongs to him." This photo went viral, becoming a symbol of the almost nature of their public relationship. It kept fans on the edge of their seats, analyzing pixels for proof of love. The romance then spilled onto the streets of Istanbul. At a cafe overlooking the Bosphorus, watching the sun set over two continents, the couple continued their film-like existence. Their frequent glances, the casual intimacy of their conversation, and the way they shut out the bustling city around them created a bubble of time. Fictional witnesses at the next table commented, it was as if time stood still for them. Further details emerged of a boat ride, with Yağmur arm in arm with Boris, drifting past the historic skyline. These moments, observed by the narrative storytellers, reflected a closeness that went beyond friendship. It was a message to the fans, the journey filled with love continues, even without the Italian backdrop. The final act of this romantic saga takes us away from the mainland to the tranquility of the Prince's Islands. Here, where cars are banned and silence reigns, the couple strolled hand in hand. The fictional onlookers noted the peace in their steps. The wind, coming off the Sea of Marmara, played with Yağmur's hair, and once again, Boris was there to gently smooth it back. This recurring motif, the tending to her hair, is interpreted by fans as the ultimate sign of tenderness. In small island cafes, sipping tea, they shared jokes and laughter, adding warmth to the cool island breeze. But the emotional climax of this trip occurred on the beach at sunset. Sitting in the red light of the dying sun, leaning against each other, a specific line of dialogue is attributed to Boris in this fan-created masterpiece. "Moments like these are the most precious in life," he supposedly told her. And Yağmur, bathed in the twilight, smiled back. This scene, constructed in the collective imagination, strikes a chord because it is what every fan wishes for them, a realization that their time together is precious. Viewers of this narrative commented, time seems to have stood still around them. Returning to the mainland, the story concludes near the Galata Tower. Legend says that if you climb the Galata Tower with someone, you are destined to marry them. While the narrative describes a walk near the tower, the symbolism is potent. Boris gently taking Yağmur's hand as they walked in the shadow of the tower became one of the most talked about scenes among fans. We must pause here to analyze the phenomenon we are witnessing. Why does this specific story, a fictional trip to Italy, resonate so deeply? Why are there thousands of comments saying, the world is more beautiful when they are together? It speaks to the incredible chemistry of Boris Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel. They have created a dynamic on screen that is so compelling, so visceral, that the audience cannot accept it ending when the director yells, "Cut." The fans are filling in the blanks. They are writing the scripts that life has not yet produced. This fictional trip is a collective manifestation of hope. It is the fans saying, this is how it should be. I turn the question to you, the insightful community of Mr. Magazine. Why do you think this specific fictional scenario of an Italian holiday has taken such a strong hold? Is it because Italy represents the ultimate romance, or is it because you truly believe these moments are happening behind closed doors, hidden from us? Pause the video. Scroll down. Tell me your theory. Is this fiction, or is it a soft truth? Your analysis is the heartbeat of this channel. And while you are there, if you haven't yet, please verify that you have smashed that subscribe button. We are building a library of these beautiful stories, and we need you as our archivists. The fictional tabloid press suggests that this enchanting vacation is the gradual unveiling of a long-buried romance. The intensity of the fan comments. Not every scene they appear in is from a TV series. Its true love itself shows that the line between actor and character has been irrevocably blurred. Now, everyone eagerly awaits what these two world-famous actors will say upon their return from this metaphorical journey. Every moment of silence from the real Boris and Yağmur only fuels the rumors of the fictional Boris and Yağmur. It is a loop of expectation and desire. Perhaps this romantic trip that began in Italy is the start of a new chapter. Or perhaps, it is a reminder that the greatest love stories are the ones we write ourselves, projecting our own definitions of love onto the stars we admire. As we close the book on this Venetian dream, let us appreciate the power of storytelling. Whether these events happened on the cobblestones of Rome or in the hearts of the fans, the emotion they evoke is real. The joy, the hope, and the belief in love are real. Boris Baktaş and Yağmur Yüksel have given their fans a gift, a canvas upon which they can paint their most beautiful dreams. And in a world that can often be dark, that is a precious thing indeed. We will continue to monitor the real and the imagined, bringing you the synthesis of both. Because at Mr. Magazine we know that sometimes, fiction is just a truth waiting to be told. If this story transported you to Italy, please like the video. Share it with a fellow dreamer. And consider clicking join to keep the dream alive. From the canals of Venice to the Bosphorus Bridge, keep believing in the magic. Good night.